Okay, so I see we've gotten started. Hello, it's been a little bit over a week, but welcome back to my next session of Smokebox. Today, we're going to be talking about education. Education during COVID. It's always fun, right? Right? But hope everyone has had a good week. If you're new to this, I just essentially talk about, or rants rather, about certain social, political, American culture issues that I just really need to get off my chest. And what better way to do that than smoking a blunt, which inherently will calm us down, right? So if you choose, you can just smoke with me, or you can just sit back and listen. It's up to you. But today will be about education, since school is going to be starting for some people in certain states. School has already started. Yikes. And certain states are facing their second wave, which definitely is not something that they should be having school during, but you know, what are the states going to do, right? Obviously for education, there's going to have to be a new structure, new way of doing everything, because having at least the system that I remember, which was weirdly enough a long time ago, we're going to need to change some things from that. And so I at least know that our school district, the one that I live in, would be mainly making it online, and that is most likely the best way of educating students now. But not many people think, I guess, about this enough, but it highlights economic disparities between communities, and that will probably be an issue now with education, because if all of the education will be online, and some families who may have like more than one kid, they need to have access to a computer to, say, do like a Zoom class or something that they have to attend. How is it going to be possible? And then on top of that, who's really going to be home to watch the lower grades and age students at home and help them with their homework or their schoolwork? Because I know growing up that, at least me, I needed a little bit more hands-on help if I needed like a question answered in class, and how is that going to work? Because going into the class, to school, might be dangerous. I've heard of school districts that already have had to start quarantining their students because certain students were already testing positive, which is going to highlight another issue. Kids are petri dishes. Like fucking petri dishes. Oh, there's our lovely little child right now, I guess. Marquise. She's gonna have to wait just a little bit. She can't come in right now. But because of that, I don't really think so much has been kind of thought through, and I mean, this is something that was kind of, we were thrusted, it was thrusted upon us, you know, like this, we weren't, I mean, well, scientists could have expected this from like December and started planning, but you know, that's a whole nother issue. But with that, I knew, you know, kids that were sick with a flu back in December, and nothing was, they weren't tested for COVID or anything like that. And at least one parent who I knew, her son like had it and got it like you know, like the symptoms where you would get better for like a week, and then symptoms would kind of lessen, and then like a couple of days later the symptoms would come back again. That's what happened. And at the time, no one was really talking about COVID, so they didn't test for it. But then the kid went back to school, and if that is going to be the norm, which could possibly be, because, you know, this will just highlight more issues, and that's exposing families and kids to this virus. And that's why we can't have in class, you know, like sessions. But at that same time now, what happens to, you know, like public schools like in New York City, where they have like 40 kids per class, and some kids really don't have access to the online tools that they'll need. They won't receive the help that they're going to need. Now what's going to happen? And of course, the Department of Education doesn't give a fuck. Betsy DeVos doesn't care. She's still out here trying to have, you know, college students still pay their student loans, even though we know that like a good portion won't be able to finish that program because they won't be able to pay for that the rest of the program because they lost their jobs, or it's been a problem with the family, or it's been, you know, like multitude of issues. Wow, Marquise is really being annoying right now, huh? Okay, give me 1 second. What? Come on. You're gonna behave, right? Okay. Hilarious. But yeah. And then on top of that, don't even get me started on the idea that certain colleges are still making their students pay full tuition. Come on. Come on. You want attention, I know. Come on. And the idea that certain colleges are actually going to make their students pay $10,000 to $15,000 to $30,000 when their courses are online. No. Why? For what fucking purpose? Well, we know the purpose. It's capitalism. And we know the state of dorm rooms, right? Yeah. I didn't dorm in college. No. I did not. However, when I did stay in the dorms at St. John's, a couple of times that I did, you know, for orientation, no. They supposedly had that shit cleaned for us. No. And they're supposed to keep it clean. A bunch of college students. No. I highly doubt that sanitary workers would be compensated for their extra hard work. Oh no, it ripped. And that's another issue, is that people are gonna have to be risking their lives for education. Come on. You keep wanting attention. And we're going to see a decline, I guess, in public education in that sense. Public education. Colleges, I don't really think are going to have the same amount of enrollment during this time, because I don't really, how can they expect it if there have been so many people impacted by this virus? Yes. Come on. Yes, hello. Say hello. Hello, everybody. Yeah, there's, yeah. Okay. Doesn't like attention. And especially, of course, for college, like I said, you know, even for the younger students who would need, you know, extra guidance for hands-on learning and everything like that, that kind of goes away with office hours, extra help. How many people are actually going to be doing really well in class? And thank you. She's a precious little kitty, isn't she? You're done. I wish she wasn't in here though, but we have a window open with the fan on, always. And there's gonna have to be things changed. I know certain schools, I think FIT, decided that they were gonna make their online courses all no tuition based, but that's one of how many schools, and that took a whole bunch of work from what I could hear, and they were pretty resistant to it at first, and that's not okay. So I don't really think much is going to be really dealt with this administration, to be honest. Or even if the new one came in, the one right now is not going to fucking care. They don't give a fuck about education. They no. But the Democrats, I don't really hear too much coming in from their side. When it came down to public and free education, they claimed that, you know, we didn't have. What? Come here. Come on. Come on. There you go. Here we go. Stop. You're distracting me. Stop. Jesus. I apologize. She wants the attention right now, so distracted. I apologize. Okay, we have to deal with her until she gets the attention that she wants, and then she'll and then she'll leave me alone. Hello, come on. Hello, say hello. Oh. Wow. Look at that. That's precious. She never does this. Okay. Okay, we. Bro. Anyway, so this public education, they really kind of said it wasn't doable. And we all know that we have the money for it. We have the funds. We definitely do not. I know, right? She wants to be a star herself. Bro, you need to get out of the room though. I can't like this around you. Come on. You gotta move. Can I have you move? Can I have you? No? Come on. Okay. So we do have the funds. We are capable of, you know, covering Medicare. We're capable of covering public education. Capable of covering science-based, you know, research, all that stuff. It's just where we funnel our money, and that's money will not be funneled to education, not with this administration. And they say that it's not doable. in a more centrist or moderate to liberal, whatever you call liberal. Liberals don't want to call themselves liberals because they think they're progressive, but they're not. Because Biden, Kamala Harris. Well, Kamala Harris had more progressive policies when she was running for president. However, I don't believe her stances will stay the same while she is with Biden. She's probably going to have to compromise herself a little bit because Biden is more moderate or centrist. Hey, I'm using this as a guideline. Thank you. That's my piece of paper. Okay, thank you. Good. And so we're gonna have to see how those policies can't come out, because we've already heard Biden say that he's gonna put more funding into police, which we don't need, because, you know, why do they need to have all the weapons that they have? Because we already know what they do with it, right? This is not a smiling matter. It just really fucking boils my blood. And Marquise is chasing her tail right now, which is fucking fantastic. If I could just flip the camera. You know what? Let's see if we can do this. I can't. Oh, fuck, man. I can't. You guys are missing it. There. But, ow. We don't need that. We do need more money being shifted, allocated from our military defense budget to education, because it is the numbers that they were pulling from 2016's election, you know, like, I think it's like 1.6 billion or something like that. Back, they were thinking that would cover like 1 year of college, like public-based college. And they said, how would we be able to do that? Meanwhile, we were spending like at least like 4 times that amount in the defense budget. So we really want to sit there and think, how are we going to pay for things? Let's sit there and think, do we really need to be spending 75 plus trillion in defense? No, we don't. Do we really need to be covering all of the Gulf trips to Mar-a-Lago that the president seems to be taking? All that fucking money on Secret Service protection? Where do you think it comes from? It comes from your and my taxes. So, if that's the case, I think I could use that money. It's a budget. If you can tell a bunch of poor people that maybe they shouldn't spend money on luxuries and spend it on food, that's why we can't afford to pay, you know, for food stamps for individuals, then maybe we can cut back on your fucking golf trips, right? That would make a lot of sense. So we can educate the population and definitely probably change those courses and stop indoctrinating our children with propaganda that will be just used later on as tools of white supremacy. Like, do we? I just feel like there are smarter ways for using the money. And then on top of that, the money that we do funnel into education, where the fuck does it actually go? Because teachers are still paying for their own shit out of pocket. How? Like, I have somebody who I knew back in high school who's a teacher now, and she set up her and her friend set up a GoFundMe so she would be able to better protect her kids in like the classroom. Like, that burden should not fall upon the teacher. That isn't okay. And I will share that GoFundMe link after this live is over. But if we already didn't have enough money for education, where teachers are being underpaid and they're not receiving the benefits that they're supposed to, they're not receiving the proper funding, textbooks are fucking falling apart. Wait a minute. You're gonna give those same textbooks back to those children? Who knows whether like the kids had fucking COVID beforehand, like whether like all of that shit, like are you gonna tell me that you're gonna sanitize all of those raggedy ass false textbooks? No, most likely not. The sanitary workers, janitorial workers, custodian workers that are in these school districts are not definitely being compensated enough. Their families are at higher risk already now. And even in my town, they're at risk. They've been at risk. And I know people exposed from the school itself already. That's not... Because there's going to have to be people in the district. It's at some point, I hear that there are going to be days in which they will have physical people like going in, but for the majority it will be just online. And we've barely made any changes. The Senate called recess during the middle of this shit because they were like, yeah, why not? It's almost Labor Day, let's call off. Even though everyone else is laboring during this fucking pandemic because we have to now. Stimulus checks were from 4 months ago. 4 months. So, calculate $1,200 for 4 months. They expected us so far to exist $300 a month. Oh my fucking goodness. And they went on recess without passing another bill that would offer relief, like unemployment benefits, like being like consistent at $600 plus. Another stimulus, no, fuck that. Healthcare coverage to cover the COVID incurred health costs. No, not at all. But they can collect a check. They can collect their nice House representative or Senate benefits that covers their health care. Wait a minute. We give that to them. How? At this point, it's not. It isn't. They educated us on this stuff. They educated us on revolution, but then they don't want us to revolt. But that's really what it's come to. Because they've been saying it since 2016. From that election, when we saw all this stuff happening when I was in school. When like I just, I graduated high school. You're not really aware of politics at all. You have bigger things to worry about. You don't watch the fucking news. And okay, that's normal. You should be allowed to be a kid growing up. But going to college, commuting, having to find my own way to pay for it, having to get up hella fucking early and all that shit. That's life comes at you fast. And so in college, St. John's, when I started, I saw how that school operated. There were a lot of things that I did not like, particularly certain professors that were tenured, that ran departments that did not teach science courses where you needed to be in depth, where instead he would just go on tangents on his own life and then expect us to learn from the slides and go to office hours on our own time. But if you have a course during that class, then during that office time you can't go. Okay, great. Well, great. Okay. So knowing that they had just bragged during the orientation that they spent $2.5 million on the brand new D'Angelo Center. How the fuck could they not spend the money on a brand new set of professors that actually gave a fuck about their students? Nah. Private education institutions, they do not give a fuck. They want your money. And then they will ask you once you leave to donate as an alumni. Why not? Just look at all the good they've done for you. Fuck them. And so then that was 2014, 2015. And instead I started working so I could pay for transferring to Nassau. And then during that is when I had to take, the cores all over, and that's fine and everything like that. But because I was an environmental science major, I had to sit there and try and focus on that in the course, even then when writing essays or research papers, it would be on that stuff. And of course, during that time, 2014, 2015, Obama was in office, and the Dakota Access Pipeline problem was going on. And to be consumed with real life problems and then the issues of school while I was working, it dawned on me that with the looming election that there might not be a way in which I would be able to get science jobs in my field, because let's say this president doesn't particularly care about the environment, with the different laws that and regulations through the EPA and removing those, putting people directly in oil industries and everything like that. I quietly just left school after a summer semester. But throughout that time I did, take debate, did learn about the darker side of the government and everything. And that's not what they taught us in high school history courses. No. They didn't teach us about lobbyists. They didn't teach us of how certain representatives, will just continuously fight on the floor about nonsense. Please turn on C-SPAN once or twice in your life throughout the day when the House is on the floor. Please, I beg you, you will see where the fuck, how the fuck your representatives behave, or not even our representatives, because if you're from New York, they're relatively good. However, you listen to, oh my goodness, other states, and some of them are nuts. But you can't do that during school time. Not really. It's almost like they still don't want us to understand the inner workings of our government. And that's where I think the education system is very flawed in our country. And it doesn't look like this new system will actually change that, and probably get worse, because teachers will not be able to keep up financially if they have to go out of their way. Because I remember, like, you know, back in elementary school where they would ask us to bring in like tissue boxes for the class and everything, you know, and that's what we had for the class. Now imagine you during this time, you're gonna need more. If you're gonna ask more of parents, or the teachers are gonna do it themselves, and people are strapped for money already. Something has to change, and it is not going to happen by the voice of like just one or two individuals or three individuals. It's going to have to be a whole collective of people that are going to choose to revolt, because education is probably coming down in like the very lower tier of what people are worrying about. You know, we're still, yes, and for good reason, worried about how we're gonna pay for all of this health care. Worrying how, you know, people are gonna be able to go back to work. Like, it's just not happening. Education for like kids, I guess, you know, the kids are gonna fall down to the wayside. College students, well, it's gonna fall down to the wayside as well. And what is that going to say about our country if our elected officials are really not doing anything to protect its students? We're not going to have international students coming here, which is also a very big revenue for certain colleges. I know St. John's in particular is big on their international programs. A good portion of their money came from there. No one is gonna fucking send their college student here because we are a health risk. Other countries are safer now. Yeah. It's hilarious. But for that reason, we can't rely on these guys anymore. Not at all. So, as we try to begin to go back to normalcy, we're gonna lose the capability of actually fighting back more, because all the protests and the riots and everything, they were truly happening because people had the capability of going to them without, quote unquote, anything to lose. They didn't have a job that they had to risk to leave throughout the day to go do that. They were going to be stuck at home anyway. If they were going to choose to be responsible, wear a mask, go out, then that's what they could do at the moment. But now that people are expected to be going back to work, I really do find that it's gonna slow down the rate in which we fight back against the normalcy, which was harming us to begin with, and it's not the time. And as we loom, Jesus fucking Christ, it's August and November is, wait, it's almost fucking September. So that means it's like 2 fucking months. What in the span of 4 years, what the fuck has been done? What has changed, if anything? No. So it's time that everyone starts to really kind of wake up for the future's sake, for your own sake, that we stop relying on other people and start doing it for ourselves, whether it's educated, like choosing to go out and get the knowledge yourself if you have to, because if that's your financial capability now, that's what it's kind of like, you just kind of have to, because where are you going to get it? You're going to get it from the TV that's laced with medical fucking commercials, or you know, the magazines that have like all the fucking like diet pill ads or shit coming up. No, that's not gonna educate you. It's gonna have to go back to reading. You're gonna have, and I don't like mean just like books, I mean like with news. Like, you're gonna have to dive deep and actually see what's happening. Yes, do watch C-SPAN though, because that is live television of our representatives at hard work. But education is now gonna be very different, and it's gonna have to come from a multitude of places. And for kids, I hope that they have parents that will actually be able to adapt to this new style of teaching as well, because I know kids are frustrating. And I know the parents have definitely had enough because they're not used to maybe spending this much time with their children at home. But the kids are going to be just as anxious, just as like bored and wanting to fucking go out and do things, and not used to this new style of teaching. And it's gonna take patience from parents in a new way. And I hope that our country can deal with it. We have to see, right? But I believe that is where I'm going to leave it, because we dealt with, you know, the difference with how it's gonna impact families with economic, financial problems. You know, if they can't have a parent at home, they can't call for babysitters, they're gonna have issues. They may not have access to proper, you know, technology, you know, laptops or computers for their kids if they need it. You know, like to colleges, expecting their students to fucking pay for tuition if they're paying, you know, if they're taking online courses, or, you know, certain Ivy Leagues that are expecting people to still pay full tuition if they're not going to be boarding. Like, yikes, that's it's not okay. Betsy DeVos, who's not giving any financial relief to students with their loans and still expecting them to pay, knowing that during this pandemic not many students are going to be able to have finances coming in. They're going to be living back home with their parents. That's going to cause issues. We went through the tier of students and down to the self, where you just got to go out of your way to learn from articles, like from actually watching, engaging with your so-called representatives. And if you personally do not align with them, then go out, talk to people, kind of just get to know the community itself too, because that's kind of the point, is the more people that there are to be able to stop what's happening, the more effective it's going to be. You know, it's not going to just be one person taking charge. Like, they're going to be arrested, and it's not going to really work. But we've seen how large groups of revolution has been effective, so we can do it if we actually take the time to just educate ourselves and communicate to others what we believe. We know that it's scary. I get that you're going to be afraid of judgment, but that's the only really real way of getting to know others, and whether you can work mutually together to stop something that is harming so many fucking people. And as education shifts from that large institutional scale to the individual scale, it will take some personal effort to, shift that routine, but in the long run, it'll vibrate to the rest of your life. So, if you have any topics that you want to suggest maybe for the future, or just want to have a further discussion on what we talked about tonight, you can DM me. I'm going to save this video, so if you left in the middle or had to want to come back, recatch something, you can do so. I thank you for watching, and hope you'll join me for the next session of Smokebox. Bye.